shuts him down in that moment. And now it's coming down to this. It's a 2v1.
Fetty and Toos. It's kind of crazy because we started World Cup in week 1 in semifinals. Toos playing in solos, actually destroying the semifinals, and now here again, ending EU. Is he going to be able to pick up this win? It could propel them up to 71 points, but it's going to happen. Ollie goes down, almost makes a hero RPG play onto Confetti. My heart dropped for a second there, but that really could be, you know, a story from the start to the finish, Zeke.
Yeah. This is, I think the only fitting thing now to do, I'm
So.
stressing out of my mind, but for now, send it to Pookie. She's in the studio. Break down what's going on.
Thank you so much, Zeke. You know what? Go get yourself a sandwich. Go get a drink of water. Calm down. I was over there. You were stressing out for sure. I am joined here with Sundown. Those games are absolutely incredible. You always putting on a show. Never disappointing. Speaking of that, don't want to bring up who's going to be disappointed or excited, but we got to look at the standings.
The final standings, the last 4 coming out of Europe. It's been so absurdly competitive, and let's take a look. Some tickets going through.
Okay, nice. Stompy und Schinken.
Stompy to Schinken, Benji Fishy, and Mr. Savage don't know how to share. They're still hanging out at early
That's
qualified,
nice.
so that means it shifts down, and we got Skype in Vato, Voren in Tux, and then Klusha in Singularities. Thomas HD taking up the spots, 1 point separating the difference, going through there. Saw it going down. I mean, this is nuts. So many players who we've seen. Klusha getting the double qualification going through. Schinken and Stompy not knowing how to stay off of the top. Huge runs from Skype and Vato, as well as Voren and Tux. And then Wolfies and Rojo just dominating at the start of the day, kind of falling off, and everyone was saying, oh, can they stay up there? A huge last-minute surge, $20,000, a trip to New York City, Pooks. That's massive.
Congratulations to everyone who has qualified for World Cup finals in New York in July. I cannot wait to meet all of you, but we have some business to get down to, Sundown.
Time to punch some tickets, right?
Yeah, we got to punch those tickets.
All right,
Wanna do
let's
it?
get the top one right there. Congratulations.
Moin, Micha.
Wolfies and the Rojo.
We got Skype and Vado coming out of the
Hey, komm bitte, bitte Carmen und Isa, komm bitte. Oder ist erstmal PC? Ach, keine Ahnung. Ah ne, Ozean, Europa, Europa. Face und Atlantis.
Congratulations, all of you played so incredibly well. It was a great day to round it up. But again, hey, first of all, to even get to Sunday in Europe, it took 67 points in a victory royale. Like, if you were playing on Sunday, you're among the best of the best there, and just because your name isn't up here doesn't mean you're done. There's always going to be more to play.
Ja, Bruder. Ich glaube, er ist, glaube ich, er geht, glaube ich, jeden Tag zum Friseur.
We recently actually just launched our own dedicated Twitter to all things competitive Fortnite. You know, let's just throw it on up there. Go ahead, give it a follow as well. It's twitter.com/FN competitive, and I mean, there's always a way to get involved. We're going to be highlighting plays, we'll be doing breakdowns, we'll be asking you who your favorite players are up there, so keep an eye on that, and then let's also see what is
Kurz hört ihr alles gut, oder?
what players had to say up there. Boom, right on up there, and then everyone's saying welcome to Twitter on there. Let's go, people being excited about it, and look at that. I love the Sharks just slamming the like and the retweet button.
Nice. I love that. Cutest graphic I've seen on this wall thus far. Can we just talk about Evade Orange's tweet for a second? The only Twitter I need. Could not have said it better myself.
Well, he needs his own there to interact with it as well.
That's
but
true.
I mean, just
you know, potato, potato. That is what it is. But yeah, guys, if you're not following this Twitter already, please go and give it a follow. I'm following it. I know Sundown is. Tweet to us on there. We'll be replying to stuff all day today. But you know what? I feel as though, you know, we've seen a lot of games coming out of Europe today. You know, we've seen a lot of people, you know, punch their tickets. Congratulations to everybody so far. I cannot personally wait to get into the next set of games. So before we do that, we are going to go to a quick break. Do not go anywhere, because when we come back, we'll have more Fortnite action.
Ach, Digga, jetzt waren die scheiß Werbung. Ja, 5 Minuten Werbung. Okay, in der Zeit kann ich jetzt lang Creative gehen. So. 5 Minuten, ja. Mach ich mir einen Timer. So, zack. Starten. Und wie war so dein Tag heute, dein Nachmittag, dein Abend, was auch immer? So. Gehen wir mal rein. Zack. Ja, ich war so mal, ich war einfach mal viel besser im Bauen, ne? Hey. Hey, Digga, ne? So, Chat. Komme gleich. Ah, Habibi. Wie lange ist noch Werbung überhaupt? Ah, noch 2 Minuten Werbung. Da kann ich weiter gucken. Was für Zone, ja? Mach dir auf einmal Zone an. Ich glaube, ich spinne. Oh Mann, fuck. Ey, jetzt fliegt er auch. Ja. So. Okay, ich kann rausgehen. Ja, recht. Gold. So.
Take a look at Oceania replays.
Okay,
Don't
nice.
forget Oceania and Asia happen overnight. We're going to also look at Asia replays as well. I guess I should have said both. And then we're going to take a live look into Brazil, see how things are going for them. I need 2 casters on deck. Let's get Pookie Face. Let's get Sundown. Let's get into these games.
Thank you so much, Zeke. I'm joined here by the amazing Pookie Face, who has a great talent at ignoring high five.
Oh my goodness.
Wow, she literally looked right at the camera and then right at me. But as Zeke just said, Oceania and Asia wrapped up last night. I stayed up, watched some of the games, and know most
Oh, der kam schon
they
raus.
were incredible. The last spots were there, and let's hop in, give these guys a little coverage, and celebrate just how awesome at Fortnite they are.
Ich hoffe, einer von euch ist noch drin.
About both these guys.
Logen.
7 matches played total. That was all they ended up running through. So they were able to get the maximum amount of points that each one was not needing all 10. And as we talked about with the breakaway esports duo of Serpent and Hype, averaging a placement of 2.67 across the 7 games. That is ridiculous.
That is extremely high. Do you know what other teams are sitting at in terms of averages like that?
I mean, you really don't typically will see placements like that in a 10-game run. Like in overall, like we've seen people being those consistent in like over the course of 10 games.
Right.
But like in that spree, I think the closest we've seen is the Twins out of Oshi when they were playing more placement based and less aggro. I think they had one of the weeks up there where they were nearing 4, but sub 3 is. That's really, really, really good.
Yeah, it's definitely pretty incredible, like you said. And we see Hype
Nice.
just get the elimination on Pendragon, LOL there, just utilizing his edits there to quickly peek out, make sure that he's not leaving himself too exposed. Take a look at his partner, Serpent, who has got his own agenda of what he's doing over here. Looks like he's doing the same thing, but on the opposite side. So these guys just applying pressure all over the map.
Yeah, and one thing to note, it is a much sparser circle when you're in those very late games in terms of Oceania. Some players opting to play aggro, trying to get their games out there, will just go full send and try and burn through a couple towards the end to get into another one. But if you have good game management or the ability to just play consistently and ride it out, you can play this game all the way to conclusion and maybe snag what might be a slightly easier
sandwich.
if you're playing passive and defensive, which Serpent and Hype seem to have been doing so here with, I want to say, only 6 elims, but in comparison to the rest of the lobby, it's not a ton. It's good.
No, for sure. And to your point, kind of what you said about knowing, you know, where your opponents are. Keep in mind that there's only 12 players left on this map right now, and only 7 duos remain. Make that 11 and 6. I spoke way too soon. Serpent secures another elimination there on Bray. But in terms of final circles, Sundown, this is not something that we see very often in these late games.
No, and it makes for interesting play because people can be more calculated, but normally you don't get as much room to operate. So now all of a sudden, Zank being in this 1x1 by himself, if certain Hype want to go pinch him, they absolutely will. They know this is a 2v1, they know there's no one else here, but Zank is now trying to get whatever opportunity he can to free up shots, knowing that the next elim that goes down is the top 5, and every single point matters, even if not for qualification, then for the prize money, with the prize pool being doubled in weeks 9 and 10.
Yeah, and Zank making that quick decision to just use the launch pad, kind of get out of there. He saw that there were players rushing at him, decided to go up, get the high ground, which does end up working out for him because he lays down a 35 and a 71 shot on opponents down below. Breaks a baller, which is going to be bad news for that player. He isn't going to have that additional protection anymore. But he is just trying to fire shots, methodically go through and see if he can actually get any kind of knocks or eliminations here to get that siphon, because he doesn't actually have any kind of healing, and he does take out Jimmy, so that is certainly going to help him for any kind of future eliminations or any kind of engagements here.
Yeah, and it got him into the top 5, and Goobas actually ended up going down as well, so just getting the tags on the end of the storm as rotation does go up the mountain. You know, the verticality being the difference there. Elimination does go over. That was the knock we had just talked about. While Replace goes through, he edits down, has nothing to catch himself, but luckily was on the edge of it. But Hype is
Wie stressig das sein musste, ja. Aber das sieht zum Beispiel jetzt nicht so schlimm aus wie Europa. Europa sieht noch schlimmer aus. In Europa würden jetzt noch 30 Leute leben. Gefühlt.
Well done from them indeed. Now, unfortunate to see Slayo go down. I know that he is a favorite from a lot of people, but you know what? Second place, not too bad, Sundown.
No, it was a good effort, but like you said, once kind of those two get rolling, when they have the momentum, they are able to just run with it. We've seen it before in the semifinals, and when they finally converted it over, sometimes that's all it takes. If you're able to put the pieces together on the right day in the finals, that's what ends up mattering. Now we're on board here with Surf Junkie and Evan.
And take a look at their loadout they have right now. 2 Rift to Goes, 2 Shadow Bombs. I'd be interested to see if they split the Shadow Bombs. Duos will typically do that. You know, give 2 and 2 so each partner has some kind of mobility in their inventory. They do only take up 1 slot, and you can carry a whole bunch of them. So we've seen time and time again players utilizing those to make rotations, make sure they're safe heading into the next zone, and they are going to actually opt to rift out there so that they can make that early rotation. They did have quite a long way to go, but they are going to look to see if they can possibly sneak on some high ground here.
Yeah, the thing is there, well, it seems like it is a little bit of an early rift. If you look at the bottom right-hand corner, majority of the players were in their path in order to get to the rotation. So when you have 2 rifts and 2 extra Shadow Bombs as well as a ton of the shields, you can afford to be a little more aggro there, and they're actually able to now get priority on the zone and pick up an Elam as well. But can they get the mats and then disengage out with whatever upgrades they so desire?
Again, Surf Junkie taking a lot of damage there, so he is going to have to really focus on getting healed up before they, you know, make the next rotation or before they take another engagement, because you certainly do not want your duo's partner going down or falling to anyone at this stage of the game. That certainly can spell disaster. But we are going to take a look here at Serpent and Hype. We saw a little bit of their gameplay in the last game. They look as though they're playing very, very well together today. And you know, let's just see what they can pull out right now.
Yeah, so these were actually, so the last game we watched was their second to last game, and this was their final game of the evening. So that's kind of why it ended up being such a thinner lobby. It was a lot of the players trying to get through and use the last of the games, but certainly Hype saying, that's fine, we'll play it for a victory royale. And right now, inside the first place in threshold, already on 7 Elans for this match. So that's 10 points so far in this game. That's what we talk about when we say maximizing efficiency in every single one of your lobbies. If you're making it into the final placement threshold, getting a couple of those victory royales and getting Elans as well, it makes it very difficult for everyone else in the lobby to even keep pace with you.
Yeah, and you know, that we've seen time and time again has worked out for so many players, you know, really just being very aggressive, just going full send. It doesn't matter what game you're in, that can always bode well. He does get the knockdown on oh my gosh, Surf Junkie and Evnix just fall to him completely, no chance, and we've seen them play very strong in the past, so that is very surprising. But Serpent does pick up the Rift to go and 2 extra Shadow Bombs, so now the tables have turned, so now he has got all of the mobility he needs.
They just have so much control over this lobby now with the high ground. They can see nobody else is even remotely close to it. There's the far side of the lobby. You will see Lunar and Alpha trying to put some shots on it. Prince Charming comes sailing in, but there was a Shadow Bomb directly in the box behind it. I don't know if Alpha realized that. Gets high ground taken away from him second. Boxed in, no traps coming out. Does finally put one down, and Kaiser can't avoid the damage there. 15 health on it. Needs to throw the chug splash at his feet or get the edit out. One of the two has to happen very shortly. 15 HP, was able to get back up to the high ground. Is going to opt to just pop the minis and then go for the chug splash.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it wouldn't have really mattered too much what he chose to do, because you are only getting 20 HP effectively from those chug splashes for each one that you throw down. He did wait for his partner to join him, though, because there is that area of effect with the chug splashes. You get 20 health, your teammate gets 20 health, sometimes everybody gets 20 health.
Well, that tends to be why you see it more run in duos, but also just love having shields all over the place. But now Serpent and Hype going aggro, and we've seen it putting the dual combat shotguns to work, focusing on that with the loadout and making sure they're shooting together. But right now, Serpent has been chipped out a little bit. However, they're into the top 10 in terms of the team. So 5 placement points been picked up so far, and look at that. Prince Charming gets taken down. No fairy tale ending for you there. It's just back to the lobby, and considering this is the last match, that's the end of your World Cup run, as Serpent and Hype able to clean that up. There's another one going over, up to 12 in all the resources from it, and they saw that Shadow Form player. Look at him just running.
What is happening? Sundown. He was just, you know what, I think at that point he was just trying to do whatever he could to stay alive. Unfortunately, Hype and Serpent met him there, but Serpent does actually go down, and he is going to fall to the storm. It is going to be completely up to Hype now to carry the rest of this game. Each of them having 7 eliminations, sitting at 125 points. Do you think he's going to be able to pull out the victory royale? We're going to have to find out.
Now, They are on this 14. Elam's has the proximity launcher. That's 70 on both of them right there. Will get the AoE, gets the 70 again, so he knows that player is on 40. Drops down to ices.
Oh mein Gott. Alter.
Comes over too. Will he be able to get enough mats? Is sitting on 3-2 now out of materials. It's a 2v2 v1 v1. Edit comes out. Needs to pick up this Elam. Storm isn't his favorite player. Covers himself with metal. Edit goes for it.
Nice.
Andy, say good night. Nothing left for you there.
Können wir auch noch auseinanderkommen.
80 plus tick. Can he find another one as he's trying to do all of the work by himself right now? Serpent's been taking down.
Oh mein Gott. Geh ihn zu, geh ihn zu. Jawohl.
Lupius goes down 1, 2. Can he find the third? Needs to get the conversion over, and he does. Lupius goes down. It's a 2v1. Can he?
Nein. Oh, der Arme hatte 10 Kills.
Wow. Place and 15 plus Elams coming out from that good effort from Lunar and Farbucks, but Hype and Serpent showing why they got that top spot. It was really well played.
Unbelievable, the decision making and mechanically how gifted you have to be able to drop down, waterfall down, pull out your shotgun, and catch yourself so quick. Cat-like reflexes. Too bad Kitty Blaze isn't here to comment on those.
And making sure that it was the
Asian.
Twice with that proximity grenade, while it only being 70 damage, it's basically guaranteed if the player isn't boxed themselves up. But now we're gonna hop
voll viele haben den Skin. Also voll viele benutzen den irgendwie.
Of the Vietnamese region, or the Vietnam country, playing on the Asia region. Apologies there, as I'm on board here with Ricky and Joysa. Some good shots coming out from that tactical assault rifle so far. 12 duos remaining, 23 players left as we're in the half in, half out.
Yeah, and we are seeing a little bit of a trend here so far with these games, Sundown. You know, not very many players left alive, but I think it's a great change of pace, and you can really see how the players adapt their play style to kind of, counteract the fact that there aren't going to be very many people in the lobby. Ricky just taking down Seal completely as he was trying to rotate and use the launch pad to get out of there. So good on him with that elimination. That will be his first one of the game. His partner, Jazia, is sitting on 2. They are going to use the stinks to actually try to pressure this player above them, see if they can get him to come down, but he just gets out of there and says, you know what? That one stunk. I'm not interested.
Yeah, Cushy having no reason to do that. And you also noticed that Joyce threw the stink directly on top of Ricky while he was pressuring. No friendly fire going on there. As you can see, Putin and Peach on the low ground, but there's the qualifiers, Flame and Unique over on the side. And one thing I went through and ended up reviewing a lot of their matches, they had some hairy situations early, but pretty much every single early game, they got completely uncontested Dusty Divot and walked out with just max everything. Like, it was nuts and just getting a ton of rotation, but right here you can see right now, sitting on 2 Elams, have a decent amount of loot, good amount of mats, and prime area on the zone. So convert that into one onto Theo, getting a good knock with the help of the Storm, up to 66 points as we're inside that placement threshold, number 2, top 10 ticking.
And I feel like Dusty Divot is actually one of those points of interest where you can drop and get a ton of resources, all the trees being there. You know, some would argue that, you know, you're at a bit of a disadvantage because you are essentially, you know, not to pun, but you are in a divot. But you know what, if you can use those trees for cover, that whole area completely uncontested and for yourselves, you are going to come out of there sitting pretty. So we are taking a look here. They are rotating over. We'll see how he builds up here. If he tries to take high ground, or it looks like he might actually be making a play for that.
Yeah, he was looking to find it over on the side, but instead just opts to box himself up, realizes he has the RPG and wants to start sending everyone cascading down, but opts not to fire it. So interesting decision there. I actually thought he would have sent it down. Instead turns towards the player underneath him, and him and Ricky are going to try and isolate that player in order to convert it into an Elam. Now he's going to look skyward. I figured he would want to reset that before they got too established. No, instead he's going to say, my high ground now, perfectly timed launch pad to get it right at that maximum deploy height. And now, all of a sudden, Joyza and Ricky on the high ground with a whole bunch of resources.
And 12 rockets in their RPG. We've seen this time and time again. Explosives are extremely strong, but they are even stronger when they are raining down on players from ultimate high ground. These players do not have to worry at all about anything that is happening above or below them. They need to be looking up at Jazia and his teammate because they are actually going to go on a little bit of a tear here. Let's see if they can get any more eliminations. They've already picked up one, but you can see him. Jazia's ready. He's got that RPG out, Sundown.
He has it out. He's trying to make sure it's loaded. Stinks continue going up. That looks like it's his teammates since he's just walking through that. Does hit top 5 now. Ricky has taken a solid amount of damage, but continues tossing down Stinks towards the low ground. But he hasn't found anything with it. So far, they've only converted this into one. And Ricky actually
So, bin wieder back.
Flame and Unique picked up 2 there, and they're into the top 3 with a 2v1v1. Joyce on the high ground, Dorothy isolated in front of them. They're going to try and pinch. RPG comes down, but Joyce commits himself, falling down after the RPG, taking 80 plus damage. So now lifts himself up to the sky, but this is going to give Flame and Unique all of the pace, all of the pressure. Dorothy gets pushed down. Unique does get chipped out. So
Ist hier noch jemand im Stream drin?
But there's the maximum deploy height. Might as well just be hanging out. Clips his head, finally touches his feet, and
Nice.
blasted for it. Flame and Unique, we hopped on board with them. They had 2 elims. They converted into a 7 elim victory royale for 17 points, Spooky.
Very well done coming out of those 2. And Jazia made a little bit of a mistake there. He did miss that floor that was built out, but unfortunately for him, he didn't have much of a choice. He didn't have any mats left, so he had to rift. That was literally his only play. Fortunately, it didn't work out, but let's hop right into another game from the Asian servers. We are looking at the Trigger Boys again. So, you know, let's kind of see if they're able to pull something off here.
And again, one thing I highly recommend if you have the ability to go back and watch these guys' VODs, because I know a lot of people, they like to talk about the zero ping wall takers and going somewhere else to play on. These are players playing from Southeast Asia, playing from Vietnam, being able to execute together, finding a strategy that works for them, team firing and coordinating. It was very impressive to watch. And there's honestly a couple of situations in the early and mid game where it felt like they really shouldn't have got out of, and they had really cool disengages. So highly recommend checking out these 2 players in particular if you want someone who might feel a little more accessible in terms of going over, and it's something that like, hey, I can do this, because I know there's sometimes when I watch VODs of like Benji Fishy or Clicks or Dubs, and it's like, well, I'm never going to try that ever, so.
Never say never, Sundown. Believe in yourself.
Some of these kids, some of the guys going to the Fortnite World Cup final are infinitely better than I could ever hope to be mechanically, and honestly have shown why they are that good. Like, these guys are the best of the best and just do some mechanical stuff that hasn't been seen before. But that is not the only way to be successful in this game. There's plenty of paths in Fortnite Battle Royale to get there and to get to the top.
Yeah, I mean, you can be mechanically amazing, you know, you can have smart rotations. That's what I love about the Battle Royale genre as a whole. There's just so many different working parts, and I feel as though, you know, there are some duos that do some things really great, and others that do other things even better. So that's why it's always so exciting to me to be spectating duos and being able to be here and casting these games, just so that you can see how these duos work together, how they play to their strengths. They are going to be taking, that one gets me every time. I had to quickly look down into the inventory there to make sure he had the redeploy. I was like, what are you doing, Unique, please?
I still get a little bit of vertigo anytime. Even if I know they have it, it's just like, I'm desperately afraid of heights. But we're into the top 10 now as Unique and Flame. Now you can see high utility. Again, 2-gun loadout, but using as much of the utility. And RRQ hero Kappa just gets ripped. 4-shot out from under him, and they catch him before he even hits the ground. Up to 91 points so far from Unique and Flame, and just so well done.
Yeah, and you can see there, just, you know, they started shooting at the wall and then both immediately switched down to the floor. Smart plays coming out of them as always. Here we have Met. I'm going to take a stab at that name. I know that, thank goodness it's me casting here and not Zeke, because...
he would have panicked and probably fell out of his chair. But
yeah,
Met taking shots from the high ground, looking down here, trying to find what he can. Gets GCBM, GGK with a perfectly placed rocket, and now he's going to look to punish that backside of the storm. That was the conversion over to the knock he'd already gotten. So Nothing else to do in there as Haruki are trying to put shots out towards the rest of the lobby. They find